It is the Mosley Show, and welcome in. Busy day, and in fact, right before we came on, I was talking to King McClure. We'll have King on. King is working for Peacock. He also works for ESPN, former Baylor player, and he was doing the game last night, and so I thought it'd be kind of fun to have King jump on with us today. King is traveling to do all the shoot-arounds and everything. He's doing the A&M game tonight, so that's going to take him out of commission when we would need him today. But always good to hear from King. And King has been a member of the Rogue family in the past, and he's been doing some Dallas Maverick stuff. So King's got a lot of stuff up his sleeve, and always fun to see a Baylor Bear having some success. Now, let's get right to it. Central National Bank, thank you, CNB. And in fact, Kevin, I was just going to send you some information. Kevin Hall with us as always. Let me see if I can copy and paste this. This Kevin is from one of the executives. I just texted it to you. And he was trying to explain to us how we can get those new commercials. I can't wait to share with you. We have new commercials from CNB that involve Nikki Collin, and CNB executives were watching our interview yesterday with Nikki. Right now, unfortunately, the Baylor men's program is in a bad way. I am going to have a full-blown discussion on that, and I think I can speak to that. I've been in touch with a lot of people, because last night I think was miserable for not only Scott and his program, but people who give a tremendous amount of money and support to that program. And just know that a major revamp of a lot of things is coming. I think that includes more NIL, better evaluating, probably going to have to look at how this has been done and how it's going to be done moving forward. But I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. This is Baylor men's basketball has arrived at a very bad place. 1-5 in conference. This is not good enough. This is not up to the standard. This is not what this program has become. And this is beneath Scott Drew and his staff. Now, it's a different staff. Unfortunately, they've lost a lot of staff members. I mean, that will be addressed as well. Is this, is this the right crew? I like Coach, Ron Sanchez, who they brought in, had been at Virginia under Tony Bennett for a long time. He was extremely active. I was watching him last night. I love having Tweedy on this staff. I hated that they lost Jared Nunes this season, which we still don't exactly know what was going on there. In fact, Jared and I are going to be talking, and I might be able to shed a little bit more light on that. But that's a great staff member that they lost. But they have a GM of this staff, Jason Smith. I like Jason. What I know of him, I think he's been a really good guy, part of this program. But listen, everything has to be evaluated. How this was done, how this team was constructed. And, we can blame the GM, we can blame the assistants, we can blame whoever, but Scott is going to have to be the one that is mainly accountable for the team they have put on the court this year. And we've got a ton of Baylor football schedule stuff to react to. That's important. In fact, right now, Kevin's working on some of our graphics. I want to get I want to share this schedule. So Baylor, and of course, they had the Big 12 used all these vinyl records to kind of release the schedule, and everything's got to be this new, cute, whatever, cutting edge thing. That's fine. I liked it. Okay, that's good. Baylor, when they released their schedule, did some kind of thing. It's like our schedule's in the DMs. And so then it made it look like DMs or whatever. There it is. There it is. Now, as the old curmudgeon that I am, and I'm becoming, I used to actually kind of act in some ways younger than I was. And some people occasionally will tell me maybe it's the long hair that hasn't turned gray yet, that they think I'm younger than I actually am. I don't know what it is, but like this release of a schedule is, again, the creative team at Baylor is great, but when I want a schedule, I want one that I can kind of look at in all the different ways. Oh, wait. Do we have it? Yes. Kevin, this is very curmudgeonly of me, Kevin. Kevin encountered a bit of a grumpy Mosley today when I was handed, Kevin, show that other one. The one that's annoying to me. That's not a schedule. Okay, now that is a fun, creative, and the Hoffman, I those guys over there, Justin Hoff and the whole crew, those are my guys. I love those guys, and they're big fans of the Mosley show. But for my eyes, especially to have to put on my readers, that doesn't do anything for me. I can't even read that. And I know what they were going for. It's like our schedules in the DMs. And so they listed it like that. And you know what? For the students who really need to be a big part of this thing, and the younger folks, I think that's fun. And so I am fine with it. But Kevin, give me the schedule that I need. The one I don't have to be like I'm at an eye chart and I can't read any of the lines. This is what the old school schedule looks like, and this is what I need in front of me to work through a schedule. Now, what Kevin has and what we'll work through here in a little while is we'll try to look at the schedule grid in the Big 12, and we'll look at different schedules. I got to say, Kev, those Texas Tech Red Raiders, I feel like they've just been handed a schedule. Now, we already know. Let's see. Let me just remind you what we know about the schedule before they ever come out. We know who they're playing. We know where the game is. We just don't know the exact order and the layout of it. All right. Now, we know some of these big time Big 12 games. I mean, when Arizona State's playing Tech, or when Arizona State or somebody like that, or BYU and Tech are playing, sometimes those things will leak out. Let me tell you, let me remind you of something that we already knew that I needed to be reminded of today. BYU and Tech don't play this year unless they meet in the Big 12 title game, which is a definite possibility. Let's start down there, Kev. The December 4th, that's a Friday night game. The Big 12 championship game is going to take place at Friday on ABC. So that'll be probably about a 7 o'clock kickoff out there in Arlington, December 4th. All right. Let's pray that the Bears are somehow in that. Now, as you'll see at the bottom, home games in all bold caps. Bears have 6 of them. They've had one season that was like 8, I feel like. That was too much, by the way. They've had 7. I think last year was 7. This year, only 6 home games. It used to be in the old days of the schedules, you'd play 11 games, and one year you get 5 home games, one year you get 6. All right, now you play 12 games, you're going to get 6 home games, 6 road games. Here's the way I would break this down. Again, a lot of the stuff we knew. We thought they're going to play SMU. They had to go get La Tech because SMU wanted out of that contract. And SMU was supposed to come to Waco. They'll make that up down the road at some point. But SMU, I don't know what happened exactly there. That's kind of it really comes across as extremely wimpy from SMU. But they don't even play. TCU and SMU don't even, carry on that great rivalry, the skillet rivalry. So these things get thrown overboard. And that's how Baylor will play Louisiana Tech on family weekend. Now, best case scenario, Baylor comes out of that first 4-game slate at 4-0. They could. I mean, Colorado is a nice way to be able to start your home slate. Okay, Colorado is like 3-9 last year. They may look a little better on offense. probably not going to be a lot better. They had to go crazy in the portal, much like Baylor, I might add. But that's a very winnable game. So you could be 3-1. Now, what if you're 4-1 after Arizona State, waiting on the rivalry game TCU? You hit your bye after that Arizona State game, that you got to go to Arizona State. That's tough. Okay, that's a tough ball game. We don't know. Jeff Sims may be a quarterback to Arizona State. We're not totally sure. They lost Sam Levitt, but that's Kenny Dillingham, and that's a great program. So that's a hard one to imagine. So if you give the Bears losses to Auburn and at Arizona State, again, we knew they were going to Arizona State. We just didn't know where it would fall. So then you hope that you are 3-2. Okay, that you're 3-2 going into the bye. If you go ahead and say you're going to lose at Arizona State, and I think, given what we think Baylor's going to be, that's probably the consensus, that they'll lose that game. And then you get the Horned Frogs at home. So you got the chance to, that's going to be a big, all signs point to that game for a lot of reasons. Because if Dave Aranda wins, he's 1-5 against TCU, by the way. If Dave Aranda wins that game, then they go to 4-2 with winnable road games. Let's not act like that's the only back-to-back road games they have. Let's not act like that's the hardest thing anybody's ever come up with. Kansas could be worse this year. UCF, whatever. They're UCF. All right. That was the one team Baylor kind of blew out of the water this year. So 2 winnable road games. If you beat TCU, you're looking at a possibility of getting yourself to 6-2 on the road. Here comes Iowa State. They lost pretty much their whole team. Okay. Campbell's taking everybody to Penn State with him. That's a rough situation there at Iowa State. So could you, dare I say, get to 7-2? Now, again, a lot of this hinges because you could lose to TCU and be 3-3. And then the rest of the season just sets up differently. Not that you couldn't fight back from that, because then you would have the possibility of winning those next 2 road games and then beating Iowa State on homecoming at home, and then getting to 6-3. Okay, so 7-2 is a possibility. So is 6-3. I'm mostly looking at best case scenarios. For those of you like Mosley, have you seen our team? Have you seen our coach? Have you seen our, I get all that. All right. I'm trying to be somewhat positive. And by the way, I'm not going to be positive about the basketball program. I'm supposed to have Scott Drew tomorrow morning, and we're gonna tape that and then run that tomorrow afternoon. And that's just going to be a case of I'm not going to dance around it, and I'm not going to try to be selling sunshine. I'm going to be asking tough questions, and Scott's not going to be in a great mood. He's an unbelievable guy, and he's an unbelievable friend. And I was driving home last night, muttering a bunch of stuff, and I got on the phone with my mom, and she was like, "He's your friend. You need to be nice. You need to be positive." And I told her, I'm like, I can't. He would not expect me to be. He would not expect me to be like trying to act like everything's okay when they're 1-5. So that will be tough. So what I'm saying is, when I here in a little while, when I get into breaking down what happened last night against Tech, Kevin, if you can find any, should have said this to you earlier today. Any highlights, lowlights, whatever you want to call it, from last night's game, that's good. And then any of Scott, and I'll find it and send it to you, Kev. Any of Scott and it's off Baylor YouTube has all this. Any of Scott's press conference from last night, we'll probably listen to a little bit and react to it maybe later in the program. I'll grab some of that, Kevin, and try to get that over to you. Now, I'm continuing to look at this Baylor schedule, because then you have what you would call the nightmare last quarter of the schedule, or whatever it would be. So You come off November 7th. You're 7-2 or 6-3. Feeling pretty good about things. You may be coming off, you need to be coming off at least a 3-game winning streak, maybe a 4-game winning streak. Could be TCU, at Kansas, at UCF, Iowa State. DJ Lagway playing really well, staying healthy, running with the ball, looking like the quarterback he was meant to be, looking like the 5-star quarterback that he was. But then you have to go to BYU on November 14th, and you got to go to Provo. And the weather has changed. The weather has started to change. It may not be frigid, but it'll be chilly. And we have no clue of knowing what time of the game that will be. It's BYU, though. They'll probably be having a good season. And so that will either be that'll probably be a somewhat desirable type start time. It'll be a 6 or 7 o'clock time. Could be 2:30. We shall see. Could be 11 a.m. if somebody like Big Game or somebody wants to pick it up. Obviously you don't. Again, it just depends on how Baylor's doing, quite honestly. So all that said, Baylor has to go to a tough environment in November. There'll be a 6-3 team or a 7-2 team. That is the hope. They lose to BYU. Okay, let's do the best case scenarios. And so let's go. They fall to 7-3. Tech comes to town. That's a monster. Hard to give them a win there. So they fall to 7-4. Then they desperately need to go get a win at Houston. Willie Fritz and his team had a really good season. Formidable group. Quarterbacks coming back. Had really good recruiting. Did well in the portal. People were kind of loving their portal class. They got, even their freshmen, my gosh, they got a 5-star kid. What is happening with Willie? What is happening with Good Times Willie Fritz in Houston? You win that game against Sean Bell and the Houston Cougars. You get to 8-4. 8-4 probably gets Aranda another year. I don't think Doug's going to be signing him to some big extension. Would he do a 1-year extension or something? Maybe. His extension goes through 2029, so you really don't need to be doing much to the contract, even if they do go 8-4. 8-4 feels best case scenario. Now, people say, well, Matt, best case scenario would be 12-0. Okay, let's calm it down just a little bit on that front. But that's the Bears having a really good season would be 8-4. Let's come back a little bit. We got Campus Confidential coming up at 1:30, 2 o'clock hour. I am going to, and I was going to chop this up, and in the coming days, I'll get Ashley on. King McClure might come on.
So
Grant
you
McCaskey,
think?
Hold on, Kev. I was texting Grant late last night, so we'll have more of that. But yeah, I think. What do you have for me?
You think that this schedule is an 8-4 possibility?
Yes. You think that's what? You think that's just crazy, beyond crazy optimistic?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But again, a lot has to go right. But I see the possibility of it because they could have a better roster than Colorado. They could beat TCU at Baylor in a rivalry game, and I think their rosters are going to be as good, if not better, than both Kansas and UCF and Iowa State. Iowa State lost everybody. Now, I will give you, that's a monster finish. That's the stuff of nightmares.
Yep.
At BYU, Red Raiders come in. Red Raiders, I think that was the saddest thing last night for me, Kevin, is the Red Raiders were honestly pretty nice. like I kind of thought they might be laughing at us and whooping it up. And I had, in fact, one of our sponsors, Schmaltz's. I was talking to Britt Tully earlier today. Let's see, who was that in front of me? A guy totally listens to our show. His name's Aaron. He was on the row in front of us, and he had the tech cap turned around backwards. Young guy, and he is buddies with the uh, uh, the owner of Schmaltz's, Britt Tully. And I'm sorry, Nelson Rue, if you're watching, I'm so sorry. I saw Nelson from a distance, and I didn't want to holler across the concourse, but I didn't get over to see Nelson. But I did see Nelson Rue, the longtime owner of Schmaltz's. But Britt Tully, Aaron is his friend, and he turned around and said how much he loved our show, Kevin, and how much he watches and loves that we talk about Schmaltz's. So that was kind of fun last night. But he had the tech cap on. You could tell he was a big Red Raider, and yet he did not gloat. And he was excited for the Red Raiders, but he didn't. He was just he and his son sat there, and then I was with Kevin, the Wakefields, Lane and Kirk Wakefield are part of Baylor's S3 program. That's the huge marketing and events, and I mean they're really a cool. And so last night, Kevin, Ronnie Foss and I, he's a Mavericks executive. We took a group of students to the health camp and really splurged, right? But no health camp, by the way, the prices are going to be anyway. Great food, the cheeseburgers, the fries, everything was great, just as I remembered it. And I mean, Jocelyn, Phoebe, Andrew, Jax. Oh man, who is my friend? She came to Baylor from Vietnam, and came straight to the States to go to school. She had grown up in an international school there, and so just her English was incredible because she grew up speaking English. You know, of course, it always makes me feel like an idiot. We grow up in the States, like I kind of know Spanish, and they just know our language perfectly. Then she speaks, she probably 3 other languages. She was awesome too. And these are huge sports fans who have these great internships through the S3 program at Baylor. It's like S3E, but I think of it as S3. And we're on the board. Ronnie and I are on the board of directors. So we sat last night with the Wakefields, and the Wakefields are huge Baylor people. And I loved it though. At one point, Kirk was sitting to my right. Lane was over to my left, the Wakefield boys. And it's a father and son team. And they have just, again, their program is really, really cool. It's one of the best things Baylor has over at the business school. And Christian, the point guard for Tech, hits another 3. And I see Kirk over there giving it the clap. And I'm looking at him kind of like, what are you doing? And he was kind of like, they're just unbelievable. Like, all I can do is just kind of go, good job, guys. And I kind of felt the same. I'm just like, I mean, Baylor, part of the story is Baylor is really bad right now in our programs in the tank. But part of the story is Tech's just awesome. I mean, if you watch a team hit 14 of 19 threes on you, some point you got to go, tip of the cap to you boys. All right, Kev, come back real quick. We'll do Campus Confidential in a second. Put the schedule back up for a minute, if you don't mind. Why do you feel so crazy? Because I thought I made good points that the Baylor roster is better than several of these teams.
You did make good points. I'm not saying, but
I thought that was wonderful.
This kind of thing is like the preseason rankings. Who knows? So much is based on last season, and as we've seen, increasingly so every single year. Last year matters worth a grain of salt because everybody's roster is changing, and so I go more to the coaching side of things and go, man, Iowa State on
lack
homecoming.
Lack of faith in Aranda.
Iowa
Is that
State
what
on
you're saying?
homecoming, that's maybe not a great choice. I mean,
Iowa State stinks. Like they've got no players left. What are you talking about? This is not Matt Campbell. They're all gone. They all left. They all hit the portal. Iowa State's the perfect team for a homecoming.
But it's the turnover.
Other than UCF.
It's the turnover. I look at this and I'm going to go the other direction. I'll play a little devil's advocate and say,
that's fine.
I see 3 wins.
Oh my, that's really
I think that
that's very unfortunate.
I think
Jeez.
Obviously Prairie View, A&M, La Tech, and 1 in conference.
God, oh my gosh! I mean, if it goes that direction, Dave. Okay, I'll do this. I'll play your game for a second. Here's worst case scenario. Let me give you worst case.
All right.
And this is probably an in-season firing. And I hate doing this because Dave knows this about me, and some of his staff watches. I don't think Dave watches, but Dave secretly, I think, kind of likes me. He just has a funny way of showing it because he's so stoic, right? But so I preface this with like, I desperately don't want this to happen. We do these shows and we do like the pregame show.
Yeah.
Like, why in the world would we root for all the bad stuff? Like, we've got that would make no sense. All right. Now, some people are wired that way and they just want like bad things to happen. But that's Kevin.
Good TV.
You and I are not like that. All right. We're not wired like that. And I'm a true Baylor guy. I mean, Kevin's on cloud 9. He just moved in out of I found out the other day how Kevin arrived in Central Texas, almost like how Mork arrived in Mork and Mindy. He just arrived like basically from an egg in the sky. I mean, it was just interesting. Okay, Kev.
Yep. Worst case scenario.
I just thought of a good egg joke, but I won't make it. Give it based on
Nanu.
Okay. Kev, good for you, because you're only 44, but you can do a Mork and Mindy reference. That's right. Good for you. You're kind of an old soul. I like that. All right.
Best part about that show, incidentally, Jeremy Winters, hands down.
Jonathan Winters.
Jonathan, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Worst case scenario.
Yep.
Lose to Auburn.
Yep. That to me,
that's at home to Colorado. Lose at Arizona State, lose at home to TCU, lose. I don't think you'll lose both of those road games, but lose at least one of those road games. I just think Iowa State's a great homecoming opponent. But anyway, what I just said, if you do that, now if you lose to Colorado and Arizona State, and you've already lost to Auburn, and you're 2 and 3.
Yep.
There is probably thought of a change going into the bye.
You're going to go mid-season change?
No, there would be. There would be talk of that. I'm not saying it would happen for sure.
I say you stood by him only because you lost the AD, really, and then you're going to mid-season change.
Yeah, but this guy didn't stand by him. This guy inherited him. He didn't stand by him. Yeah. Doug McNamee did not stand by anybody.
Doug Presidente did, though.
Yeah. He is in charge. Doug is what did Jerry Jones say? I'm in charge of Venezuela. Doug McNamee is in charge of Venezuela. All right? Like, Linda is, President Livingstone is a friend of mine, and she is great. But she is so ready to get away from trying to run athletics. I mean, it's just, I promise you, she loves it, and she likes going to the games and all of that, but she never wanted to, like, step in and run it and then have to go hire an AD. She'll do it. She's willing to. But Doug McNamee is he is the chief. He is the new president of Venezuela, and what he says goes with this coaching staff. And by the way, let's get some new leadership soon. I don't want to get too far into this, but let's get somebody in there on that board that I mean, will get in there and if they need to mix it up a little bit and let's get that board riled up a little bit and involved a little bit more in the process. All right, with whoever you choose for your next chairperson of that board. Let's have somebody that's a huge way into Baylor athletics and is, I mean, like these other schools. Now sometimes they're a little bit too involved, some of these boards, but let's find a little bit more balance. And I want somebody, the next representative of that Baylor Board of Regents, the chairperson. Let's get somebody back in there that's more like Joel Allison, who played at Baylor and is big time. Okay, what?
I'm pointing to you. You're asking for it.
That's right.
You should be it. You offer the problem. You are the solution.
I'm better. Cody Campbell they used to say, is he better on the outside or inside? And they said, let him be on the inside. I'm always better on the outside.
All right. Worst case scenario, you're at 2-3 here. What rest of the schedule? What's the worst case scenario here?
2-3. Oh, I mean, I think even at worst case scenario, let's say you keep Aranda the whole season. I think worst case scenario,
you're obviously losing
like last year.
The last 3 you're losing.
Yeah, I think worst case is the same as last year, 5-7 or 4-8. That's about as bad as your 3-win deal to me feels like it can't happen. I think it's more likely. I mean, this year felt like a disaster, and they still won 5 games. That schedule right there should not
felt like
be
a disaster because
you should be able to get 6 wins out of that season.
The expectation was so high this year coming into the season. Like I talked to several people that said, at least double-digit wins or 9, and so that's why it felt, because the expectation. Now the bar is set pretty low right now, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Kevin. I think they've done a pretty good job of lowering the bar. But you do have the promise of a stud quarterback, and that has at least a little bit changed the outlook in my mind. Okay, man, a lot of people out there. Appreciate you, Kevin, on that Twitter premium that we do. All our people that are listening to us on Twitter, and I'll do the rest of the Big 12. Kevin has some of these other graphics. Oh, Kevin, please find me normal-looking schedules. I cannot look at these DMs. I don't like DMs. First of all, they're all trying to give me a virus. I mean, I don't know what happened, but like a couple of months ago, I started getting these DMs like, will you mind voting for this? Or would you mind doing this? It's all people who've been hacked or trying to give everybody a virus. They're not trying to do it on purpose, but I hate DMs. When you say slide into my DMs, it's usually in reference to somebody like talking to a female. So I think for any married adult men or women, it's a horrible idea to be DMing people of the opposite sex. Okay, I'm going to get into my old Southern Baptist ties. It's a stupid idea to be DMing people or texting people of the opposite sex that in the inappropriate way. Now, again, can you have business relationships and all that? Yes. Okay. I'm not one of these, like, don't even get in an elevator with I'm not like doing a Billy Graham thing on you here. All right, Kev. I think Kevin appreciates it, though, because Kevin has been in ministry, has been like a church plant type guy. He's taught at schools, big ministry guy. And so when I get a little biblical, I think Kevin relates to that. Okay. All right.
I do have another podcast that is called Mr. Bible Teacher. I teach the Bible and how to read the Bible. I'm going to talk to
Corey about taking some of these off your plate so all your attention can be given to the Mosley show.
You want to take my attention away from the Bible?
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes.
Mosley.
No, not just podcast wise. You can still look at the Bible. All right. Campus Confidential's next.